crying little.
Yoga.
Guyger, guilty of murdering both of John, are speaking out.
There's no way we can ever know what he would want, but I think we all had to make a decision that we could live with and that our conscience could be sound with.
The diverse jury, made up of 8 women and 4 men, all of varying ethnicities, sentenced Amber Guyger to 10 years behind bars. These jurors telling us the decision was not an easy one.
There was a lot of crying.
A lot of crying.
When we were told to go decide between 5 and life, that was like, we didn't have words.
Prosecutors were asking for 28 years.
They were.
You all landed at 10.
After hearing about how his family talked about him, he seemed like just the light in their lives, and he was kind and just caring and forgiving. And I told everyone, I was like, I'm really having a hard time with this because we all agree that it was a mistake, and I don't think Bo would want to take harsh vengeance. I think he would want to forgive her, and I didn't feel like I had any right to speak for him, and he isn't there to talk for himself. But listening to how people talked about him, I felt like he would forgive her.
They asked for 28 years, and I'm gonna be honest and true. I was like, I can't give her 28 years. I know a lot of people are not happy about the 10 years, but I feel like, for this case was not like any other case. You can't compare this case to any of those other officers killing unarmed black. Those officers that kill unarmed black men, when they got out, they went back to living their lives. When they got out, they went back to living their lives. Amber Guyger, ever since she killed that man, she has not been the same. She showed remorse, and that she's gonna have to deal with that for the rest of her life.
Can I give her a hug, please? Please?
It was this moment of grace and forgiveness to Guyger from John's brother Brant. Right decision.
We found out this morning about what his brother did, and it kind of helped us feel like we ended up with the right decision.
One thing that Botham can teach us all is that we should all love each other instead of hate each other. And I honestly think that if Botham would have just got shot and not killed, I think he would have forgiven Amber Guyger.
Now, I wanted to play this video showing the jurors, and this reminds me of a video that I did concerning Trump voters. And there was people that they talked to who had voted for Trump, and they wanted to know how they felt after, I believe a year or 2 into his presidency. There was quite a few of them who regretted what they did. Because there was a black man, of course, a dark-skinned black male, a few white males, there was a Latino male and Latino female, and I believe there was an Indian woman, and no black women at all. But there was this group, and each one of them, one of the white male who regretted their vote, spoke about why and everything that had been taken away, and, promises that were made that never happened. There was also the Latino man who stated after seeing what was going on at the border, he regrets it. I found that funny because he regrets that because of what's been going on at the border, and didn't even mention about unarmed black people being killed and shot and terrorized. And each person spoke specifically about their group. But when you went to the white male and the black male, they were sitting beside each other. The white male was talking about all the great things that Trump was doing, securing the border and everything else. But then you heard the black man, when he was sitting there talking about Trump and praising Trump, you actually saw the white male looking at him, shaking his head, yes, that he was right, and that the black male was saying all the right things. It's the same way that this white male was looking at this black female and shaking his head up and down because she was saying exactly what he wanted her to say. And to be honest, these jurors, they disgust me. And each one of them who thought that it was okay to just give this murderer 10 years, I hope that they experience something just as horrific, if not more horrific, than what happened to Botham Jean. Because to me, experience is the best teacher. And this whole we need to love each other, we shouldn't hate each other bullshit that is fed to black people in the black community, this forgive people even though they do not give you restitution. This is why we don't have reparations, because of the effed up mentality that we have in this country. It's too many of us that are just defeated, and it's causing the rest of us to have to suffer because these defeated, brainwashed black people are just toting this around to the public to love everyone and love each other, no matter what anyone does to you, excluding, that does exclude a group of people, excluding black people. A black person can't do whatever they want to do and you forgive them. Like I said, had this been a black woman up there and she did this, there would be no forgiveness. There would be no, I can't give this person 28 years. They would have superseded 28 years if this had been a black person on trial. Break into a white man's home and just shoot him dead. He did nothing. This would be one of the most shocking cases of the century. And to hear him speak and call Botham Bo, the nerve of him to think it's okay for him to use, maybe that was his nickname, maybe that's something the family said, or even to just give him a nickname like that. This man has been killed, and this is what you do. You sit up here and you think about her first. You don't put the victim first. You think about this murdering bitch first. And then this black female, she just couldn't fathom giving this white female 28 years. That was off the table. What you're looking at is a prime example of a defeated black person, a decimated black person, a black person who is damn near worthless. And I don't care what anybody has to say. If they feel some type of way about it, that's what it is. Because if you can't even demand or fathom justice by the laws given, people will give 25 years to life they couldn't even give the 25 years as for murder. She couldn't fathom that. She can't even hold a white person responsible for their actions. She can't demand justice for a innocent human being that looks like her. She can't uphold the law and do the right thing by the law for an innocent murder victim. She can't even do that. And that's why I say worthless. Because the mind is chained. She is in every facet of our lives. She is in our community. She works around us at jobs. She is more common than we would like to believe. Now, she said this is the hardest thing that she ever had to do. How could upholding the law and giving this man justice be hard? Like, it's crazy to actually see a person in live action, whose mentality has been twisted from birth to protect white society and white people. Because that's what you're seeing with this juror. And he said that it's impossible to know what Botham would have wanted, but yet they went out on a limb and said, oh, I think he would have forgiven her. First of all, you can't make that conclusion because he's dead. He's not here to say what he would have wanted. So now what they're saying, it's not about what the family displayed. Let's go ahead and get that off the table. That's bullshit. He said that there's no way to know what Botham would have wanted. So that means you can't make a definitive conclusion either way. So when they put that bullshit out there that he would have forgiven her, he wouldn't have wanted her to get 28 or even 99 years, they can't make that judgment because they don't know, because he's not here, because he's dead. So when they say he would have forgiven her, he would have done this, it seems like he would have done that. No, they're telling you how they feel. They're telling you what they think. This is what they feel she deserves or doesn't deserve. And then he said, he wanted to do something that his conscience, that he, wouldn't bother him for. You see, this doesn't bother him, that this man is dead in his own apartment and he was killed. And the killer will be released in 5 years. Oh, she will be out in 5. She will be on every TV station. She will have a Lifetime movie made about her. She will be on every Republican TV show and radio show. The bitch is gonna write a book. She's gonna get paid. She is gonna get paid off of this. She might even say she found white Jesus in prison. Who knows? But that would get her paid even more. She'll be invited to black churches. T.D. Jakes or Creflo Dollar would definitely have her to come speak to the congregation. Your obsession with white Jesus and their religion and their God and them, this is what it gets you. Your willingness to lay down and be taken advantage of and be ran over. I mean, how could I be mad at her when you just bent over, spread them wide, and you request to be worked over with no Vaseline? I mean, why shouldn't you be taken advantage of? Why shouldn't I beat the shit out of you in the middle of the street because you're running your mouth? Why shouldn't I shoot you, empty the clip, put another clip in, and shoot you down? You're going to forgive me anyway. You're going to request I get no time, and I find white Jesus. White Jesus is not that hard to find. He's on every street corner. Why should I treat you with any respect when I get everything and more than I ever dreamed by treating you with disrespect? Why should I treat you with equality when you treat me as if I'm your God? And gods are not equal with lowly humans. And you're only 3/5 of a human.
Judge and Amber hug each other. Amber tells something in the judge's ear that prompts the judge to say, "Ma'am, it's not because I'm good, it's because I believe in Christ." The judge continues, "I'm not so good. You haven't done so much that you can't be forgiven." The judge continues, "You did something bad in one moment in time. What you do now matters." Then the judge urges Amber to take the Bible with her as the deputies escort her back to the holding cell for prisoners. At this point, lawyers and onlookers were all tearing up, getting emotional. I was tearing up. No one really could understand what was going on. It was in stark contrast to the chanting going on outside.
Now, I wanted to show that it gets worse and worse as you look into this story. It gets worse and worse. You see the bailiff stroking her fur and comforting her. I've never seen a bailiff do that to anyone ever in life. Then the judge gets off the bench, comes down, gives her a hug, gives her a Bible that she owned, and then proceeds to tell her that she has done nothing that she cannot be forgiven for. That's a powerful statement. This woman is a descendant of her forefathers. And this judge, this black female judge, unmistakably black female judge, tells this murderer, this convicted murderer, that there is nothing that she can't be forgiven for. Really? Really, black people? Are these the people who are in certain positions? Are these the people that these parties, Republican and Democrat, look for? Are these the people put in place? And this is the way the system is upheld. And I said in several videos before, white hegemony is a table with 4 legs. One leg is Caucasians who uphold it. Another leg is other people who identify with Caucasians or check that on their applications, or they're a pet or the good minority to Caucasians. That's another leg. But the other 2 legs that hold this system up strong are black people. And this is a perfect example of that metaphor that I give. She told her there is nothing that this woman can do that she cannot be forgiven for. And she's speaking for her. She's speaking for those with her mindset. She is speaking how she feels in her heart. And this is what it means when it says that the Most High can see what's in you, what's deep down inside of you, what's deep down in your heart. And that's what's in her heart, is that this murdering racist can be forgiven for anything in her eyes, and those who are just like her. like the juror member. This is what other black people are fighting. We're fighting our own. This is why people were stoned. This is why people were put down. Because that mindset starts to leach into children, and it's taught into children, and it leaches into your community. And they'll soon have you thinking, you need to lie down and allow these people to put you back in physical chains and do whatever they want to you. And you need to forgive them. That mindset is dangerous. It's dangerous. And that's why certain things in the biblical text happen to people like this. When they did things, we'll look at it and we'll look at the story and we'll say it's not that bad, but you don't know how it could ruin a people or ruin a society by having a certain mindset that you think is not that bad and wouldn't spread and wouldn't be so pervasive. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, biblical about that, because even in the biblical text, there are things that are unforgivable. There are things that you cannot do because you will not be forgiven for them. So that's how you see that this religion trying to tie itself to the biblical text, it's deplorable. It is disgusting. It's putrid, because look at the mindset that it brings forth in our people. It's poison. It's poisonous. And we need to let that go. Not once has that judge ever carried her ass off that bench and hugged a young black man who went through a hard life and abuse. Not once has she carried her ass off that bench and hugged a young black girl or female and told her that there's nothing that you can do that you wouldn't be forgiven for, and given them a Bible and told them it's going to be okay. I'm sure she threw the book at those young black males and females. This is a hard pill to swallow, to see this, and a lot of people are yelling and cussing and calling names. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it because this is necessary. We have to see it. We have to see we're in our own way. We have to see that we're the problem. We have to see that we're causing this unity with people who will walk in your home, shoot you dead, not give a fuck about you, and call their partner to console them. And we give that person forgiveness. Some of you haven't talked to your children. You haven't talked to your mother. You haven't talked to your father. You haven't talked to your cousin. You haven't talked to your best friend you grew up with over some petty shit. But you applaud this. A convicted murderer forgiven, not being held accountable, not having consequences. 5 years is not consequences. You know what this looks like? People sit up here and they talk about Jesus and how much they love Jesus. But if you remember, They wanted to crucify and offered Jesus up to be crucified, to be killed. And what did they do? They had a choice. The person, the Roman ruler, he knew it was wrong. He knew that Jesus didn't do anything. And he couldn't understand why they hated him so and wanted to see him dead. So, in order to kind of push the people into not wanting Jesus dead, he brought up one of the worst murdering, killing rapists that was in his jail. And he said, you have a choice: Jesus or this murdering, raping criminal who is guaranteed to be in your society and do it again. And they picked the raping, murderous criminal. All of these black bodies they've sent to prison, presidential candidate Kamala Harris didn't want to let people out of jail, wanted these black bodies to serve the interest in her county. But yet, you want a murderous killer to go free and not to go to jail and to live their life. Quite a contrast, isn't it? And I implore you to go in the biblical text and go ahead and read it for yourself. Yes, Barabbas was his name. So did you want Jesus, who has done nothing but preach the word and convict you and cut you deep in your spirit of things that you should not be doing and how you should not be handling your people and what you should not be saying, and you didn't like it? Or you can have a murdering rapist criminal that's going to hurt somebody's daughter, who's going to hurt someone in your village. Which one you want? And they picked Barabbas. They picked the criminal who was going to go hurt someone as soon as he got out. And this family who was harmed, the man's son, he was there with him as a baby. He said, they could be friends, and the judge and the bailiff, comforting her. They picked it's so disgusting to me. It's so disgusting, so deplorable. Just when I thought there was no further we could slip and fall, this happens. Always.